In this episode, I'm going to talk about some basic knowledge about the rendering and the lighting and also the camera in Maya, because we're going to use that to help us work with PaintEffect later on. So let's start with camera. Go to Create, Cameras, and there are three types of cameras in Maya. I always use the first one. So let's click the camera. That will create camera in the center of the scene. And let's drag it out. Move it up. You can scale it up. So we'll make it easier to select it. Okay. And let's rename this camera as camera 1 or cam 1 in short. You'll see there's a camera's name under the work area. And if you hit the spacebar, it goes to the full views. There's the top view, front view, and side view here. And in the outliner, you can also see there are 4 cameras that's being hidden. If you select these 4 camera nodes and click Shift H, then you will see okay, under the perspective view, there are few cameras show up in the scene. Okay, that's the top view, front view, and the right view camera. And by default, they are hidden. Also, this one which we are working with is the perspective camera. Okay, let's hide them again. Select these 4 camera nodes, Control H to hide them. Okay, they are the default cameras that we always get from Maya when we create a new scene. And this one, Cam 1, is the one that we just created. And how do we go to this camera view? You can go to Panels, Perspective, and select Cam 1. There are 2 types of cameras. Actually, a few types of cameras. One is called perspective camera, another one is called stereo camera, and orthographic camera. When you are under the perspective camera view, for example, this one, the perspective view, or the Cam 1 view. If you're under the perspective view, everything has its perspective, and you can tell how far it is and how close it is from the camera. But if you go to the front view, or let's call it the orthographic view, like the front view, top view, or right view, everything looks flat, and you can hardly tell how far or how close it is from the camera. But sometimes it is good when you modeling with the reference image. You can model precisely with this camera angle. Okay, let's go back to perspective by holding down the spacebar and the right mouse click and drag to the perspective view. Go back to the perspective view. All right. So that's how the camera works. And you can go to perspective, Cam 1, and adjust the camera angle. Let's pick up a better angle. For example, okay, like this angle. I like this angle. Okay. And there's a resolution gate. Here, the resolution gate. Click on the resolution gate, and you can see there is a white rectangle around the camera. And that's the resolution gate. and it shows the resolution that you're going to render is 960 by 540. Okay. How to change the resolution? You can go to the render settings from here, click this button, go to the render setting, under the common tab, drag it down until you see the presets. Okay, and there are a couple of presets you can choose. For example, let's use HD 1080. Okay. And the resolution goes to 1920 by 1080. If you want to know what you're going to get from this camera angle, you can go to the render view, which is this button. Click this button and open up the render view window. In the beginning, you get nothing here, and there is a selection menu that you can pick up different render engine. For example, there are Maya software render engine, Maya hardware 2.0 render engine, and Arnold rendered engine. Okay, if you want to get a very good quality of the render image, the render result, you should use Arnold render. And if you just want to know some very basic knowledge, or just practice rendering, or just want to see what's going on when you put the lighting in the scene, maybe you can use the Maya software. So I'll demo it with Maya software first because that's easier and simpler. So I pick up the Maya software render engine. If I go to the render settings here, click this button. Under render settings, we can also change or choose the render engine under this menu. Okay, they are same thing. And Maya software, I believe that Maya has that from the very early version, about maybe like 21 years ago. And there are two tabs under the Maya software render settings. So the first one is a common tab. So it comes with every render engines. Okay, they got the same tab, the common tab, but different subtabs. For example, under Maya software engine, we got the Maya software render tab here, and if it goes to Arnold render, we got a few other couple menus here, a couple tabs here. Okay. Right now, we'll just focus on Maya software render engine. Now, under the common tab, I just want to talk something that's important. For example, here you can pick up which camera you're going to render. You can choose the perspective camera, or camera 1, or front side top view. But it doesn't matter that you work right now from the work area or the workspace, because this is about the camera you're going to do the batch render or render camera sequence command, and then you're going to output the image sequence. Then you're going to choose which camera you're going to use. Right now, we'll leave this as a perspective, and the preset of resolutions. Then that's it. And then go to the Maya software render tab. Okay, there's the quality that you can pick up. I always use production quality. They will raise the render quality and make it look better. And here, the ray tracing quality. If you turn on this subtab, and there is a checkbox called ray tracing. Ray tracing is a special method that under the Maya software render engine, you have two choices. You got one option that use the traditional light and the traditional way to generate the light maps, or you can use the ray tracing methods. and just correct the more precise shadows or the reflections or refractions with the ray tracing option. So right now we can check this box to activate the ray tracing function. All right. Then let's go back to render view. Go to render and pick up the one camera that we're going to render, which is camera 1. Okay, let's click it. And Maya start to render for us. By default, if you don't create any light in this scene, you can still see things under the Maya software. So because Maya gives you a default light from like above, okay? But we still can create our own light. Let's create some light for this thing. Go to create light. Then make this menu float. There are 6 different types of light under Maya. The ambient light, direction light, point light, spotlight, area light, and the volume light. Each of them has different functions. For example, the direction light. Let's start from direction light first. Click direction light and then move the light up a little bit so that we can see it. You can scale it up. If you hit 7, you'll go to the light mode so that you will see there's a light. Let me turn off the shadow first. Okay. No, turn off that. Okay. And if you rotate the direction light, okay, you start to see the shading is changing. Okay. So we are under the lighting mode. So if you hit 5, we'll go back to the solid rendering mode, and 6 to go to the texture mode, 7 go to the lighting mode. Okay. If we select the light and Control A to open the attribute editor, we'll see the attribute of this light. For example, the color of the light, and we can change the color into, for example, yellow or red, maybe brown. Okay, you can change any color you like, but right now we'll just use the white color as the light color. And you can change the intensity. We'll leave it as 1 right now. Okay. And if you Control D to duplicate this light, you can rotate the second light to another angle. Now everything looks flat because both lights got the same intensity. If I want to use this light as the main light and this one is the fill light, I have to select the second light, Control A to open up the attribute editor and lower the intensity, maybe to 0.5. Okay. And maybe change the color to a little bit blue, like this. And select the main light. Raise the intensity a little bit to up to like 1.5. Alright. Okay. And I like to scale the main light up a little bit, so it makes me easier to tell which one is the fill light and which one is the actually it's called key light. Okay, the key light and the fill light. The directional light it simulates the light which is cast from far away. For example, the sunlight. And if you want to see the shadows in real time, you can turn on the shadow mode. Okay. By doing so, you can see a real-time shadow, and when you rotate the light, the shadow changes also. But the shadow is not that accurate. Okay, if you want to see the accurate shadow, you should render it. So go to render settings, and under My Software, make sure you check the ray tracing functions under Ray Tracing Quality submenu. And I think I only have the key light cast shadow, so I have to turn off the shadow functions under the fill light. So select this fill light, Ctrl A to open up the attribute editor. Okay. Then under it's the shadows here, under shadows, open it up. Then drag down, and then you can see a ray tracing shadow attribute. Ray trace shadow attribute, turn off use ray trace shadows for the fill light. But we still have to keep these functions under the key light. How about let's call this one key light. Key light, okay. And then call the fill light fill 01, because I'm going to duplicate another one, Ctrl D, and then rotate it to maybe this direction. And I would like to change the color of the light. Go to attribute editor, okay, and let me change the color to maybe a little bit brown, some warm color like this. And by the way, you can also change the color of the shadow. So let's select the key light and then go to shadows. There's options called shadow color, and right now it's black. Click this button here, the color history, or the color palette. Yeah, click it, and then you can choose the different color. Maybe change it to deep blue. Okay. That way we would change the color of the shadows. Let's render it again. Open the render view and hit this button to keep this image so that we can compare with another image. So keep this image, render it again, render, and there go render camera 1. And we can drag this the slider here and compare these two images. So with the shadows, this house looks more real, right? And everything looks touched with each other. Okay. Of course, this one got shadows, but it has no light or the 3-point light for the scene. So this one looks better. Next, I'll talk about point light. Let's just delete these 3 lights, okay? And hit 7. Everything turns into black because we kill the light. Then let's create light. This time we click on point light. Then drag the light out and move it up a little bit. Okay. And this is the only light source in this scene. So the shadow is all the shadows point to this light points. I can make some very dramatic feeling about this scene. For example, if you want to make a campfire in front of the house, like here, I can place this point light down a little bit close to the ground, and then Ctrl A, change the color to brown, some warm color. Okay. And of course you can put a fire model or a fire effect around here to make it look like there is really a camp lights in the center of this yard. Okay. And next, the spotlight. Let's create it and drag it out from the house. Okay. You can scale the light up and rotate it. It acts just like the spotlight on the stage. From the history here, there are some attributes you can play with. For example, the cone angle. This attribute decides how big the light area is. So if we use our middle mouse button and click this attribute, and then use your middle mouse button to drag above the empty area, you can change the area of the cone angle. Let's move it up a little bit. Maybe we got this cone angle too large. Let's just lower it a little bit. Okay. If we want to make the edge of the light softer, we can change the parameter angle. Put like 5 here. It looks softer. If you keep on raising the number to like 10 or 20, it makes it softer and softer. Okay. But I think 10 or 5 is enough for us. So how about 10? Okay. Pick up the light and hit T to turn on the manipulator tool. You will see there are 2 points. One is the light source, and another one is called the look at point. So by moving the look at point, we can change the direction of the light. So let's put the look at point in the center of the light. Then every time you move the light, you always look at this point. So it makes it easier to tweak the light angle. So how about this? Of course, we can use the 3-point light methods or the 3-point rule to light this thing. So this is a key light for us. Let's call it key. Okay. And Control D, duplicate it, move it aside, lower it a little bit. Maybe here, and Control A, open up the attribute editor. Let's turn off the shadows. Here, turn off the ratio shadows for the fill light, and let's call it fill 01. Lower the intensity to about 0.3. And change the color to blue. And then Control D, duplicate this light again, this time from this side. Okay. And maybe change the intensity up a little bit, raise the intensity up a little bit to maybe 0.6. Change the color to brown. Okay. And I'll make this key light bigger. And there's a technique. You can group these lights. It's 3 lights together. Control G, I call it LGT. And the pivot is in the center of this thing, so you can rotate the group to change the lighting at the same time. Okay. If you hide this group, you turn off the light, but it still can unhide it by select the group and Shift Edge to unhide it. So that's for the spotlight. Let's take a look at the area light. Click area light to create it. Drag it out from the house. And as you can see, there's a square shape. Okay, and this is the area light. You can scale it proportionally or unproportionally. That will change the area of this area light and the intensity of this area light also. So if you move it away from the house, for example here, and let's scale it up, let's do a quick render. Go to camera 1. Okay. Move this camera closer. Let's compare it. First, I'll go to render and render camera 1. If we scale it up, let's keep the image first. Okay, click it, keep the image, and then scale the area light up a little bit like this, and render it again. And compare these two images. Okay, it looks different. And if you move it away from the house, okay, with the same size, the intensity might be very low. You can still see the house, but it's not very clear. Let's raise the intensity of this area light. Control A to open up the attribute editor of this light, and raise the intensity to maybe 2 or 3, and render it again. Okay, it looks better, but not the best. Okay, and we can see the light above the shadow for the light is a little bit jagged. It's a low quality shadow. So you can go to the shadows and raise the shadow rays. Let's compare it. Just keep this image and then raise the ray trace shadow attribute. The shadow rays up to 5 and render it again. It will take longer to render, but we get better quality of the shadow. See? So we can raise the number to 10, then render it again. The shadow looks much better right now, but the area light always took longer to render, so I won't use it to render under the Maya software render engine, but I use it a lot under Arnold. Okay, and Arnold get its own light here. It still got its own area light, sky dome lights, mesh lights, like photometric lights, light portrait, and physical light. Okay, physical skylight. Okay. And we are not going to talk about this right now. We'll just focus on the Maya software render. And this is how area light works. Go back to perspective view. Also, we can use a T button to open up the manipulator tool and change the light angle like this. Scale it up. Put it aside. Okay. And you have to raise the intensity again to, let's use 15. And let's try to render it again. over here it shows the message of the rendering result. For example, it tells you we render under 1920 by 1080, and this image, the size of this image is about 0.5 times about the original image. So you have to click one by one to go back to the original size. Okay, and you are using Mass Software Render, and right now we are under frame 1. The render time, it took us 14 seconds, and we are using camera 1 to render this camera angle. Okay, so this is the message of the render result. Now, of course, we can duplicate the light, Control D, hit T, and then move it aside. Okay, then maybe lower it a little bit, and drop down the number to maybe 8. Change the color to blue. Okay. Oh, and of course I have to turn off the ray trace light, ray trace shadow, sorry, and then run it again. It's still a little bit dark, so 12. Raise the intensity of the key light to 30. Call it key, and then call this fill light 1. Duplicate more lights by Control D, and then put it be above here. Or maybe, how about here? Okay. This is area light. Next, the volume light. Let's create the volume light. Drag it out. Okay. Right now, under this work area, it looks like the point lights, but actually are different, because the point light has the volume. Okay. If you scale it up to make this volume bigger, and you move this sphere close to the light, close to the house, like this, so part of the volume covers the house. Okay, and let's do the rendering. Go to render, camera 1. And you will see only the part which is covered by the light has been lit. The area outside of it, okay, they are black, they're dark. You can move this volume area to here, render it again, and this time only the lower corner will be lit. If you Control A to open up the attribute editor, you can change the light shape to box or to cylinder, we can see it from another angle, like here, cylinder, box, or cone. But by default is sphere. That's volume light. Okay. So it only lights the area it covers. Okay. The last one is the ambient light, and I'm going to explain it with other light type like directional light or spotlight or point light. Let me use directional light to explain it. So correct directional light first, scale it up and change the light direction like this, and let's render it. As you can see, the side of the house is totally dark because there is no light hit on this wall. Okay, so, and this is the only light source from the directional light. If we create an ambient light and render it again, the ambient light it lights the dark side for us, so we can see this dark side which has not been lit by the directional light. Okay. And use the ambient light carefully because you might make everything looks very flat. Let's go to outliner and pick up the ambient light to open up the attribute editor. Okay. There are a few attributes under this light. If you give it too much intensity, like 3 or maybe 2, and render it again. Okay. It looks more flat. Okay. And that's it for this light tutorial. I hope it's helpful to your lighting. Let's talk about PaintEffect in Maya. PaintEffect is also a very old function since the very old version of Maya, and actually it could do a lot of things. But the most important usage to me is create planes like this with the PaintEffect. And with the procedure method, that you can create a lot of planes, and also the plane, the shape of planes are changeable. For example, you can change its scale or the outlooks of the planes. Make a different planes like this in just one click, or to change some attributes here. So that's what we are going to talk about next. Create a blank scene, and you can find PaintEffect brushes under the modeling mode. Go to Generate, Get Brush. And I think by default, the PaintEffect tab is opened. And you can see there's a long list under PaintEffect. And they are all brushes that you can create with PaintEffect. For example, there's some special effect brushes like this. You can create fire. Let's pick up a fire brush and just drag it in the workspace. For example, like this. And Maya create a stroke for us. And also the meshes. Then let's open up the render view and use mask software. Go to render, and render the perspective view. Then you will see there's the fire effect showing up in the window. But if you render it with Arnold render, you see nothing, because Online render doesn't support the PaintEffect, and you have to convert into polygons. We'll talk about that in the future. But right now, we're going to just use the My Software render. So go to render setting and pick up the My Software. Okay, close the render view. Then hit render view again. Then you can see there's a menu. Make sure you select My Software render engine. Okay, close the window. Close the render settings. Let's open the outliner and check the notes here. You can see there's a stroke flame chlorine 1. The note here is the stroke note, and also it got curve flame chlorine note here is a curve. By default, the curve note is hidden, and we don't need to unhide it. Okay. And if you want to delete the PaintEffect, you should go to outliner and select the stroke node and also the curve node and hit delete to delete both of them. Let's try another brush. So open up the content browser again, and this time let's try food. Okay, sausage. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it works, but we can try. Okay, and maybe you can see there's a sausage here by rendering it like this. But actually, it is a texture. In the workspace here, there's only one tube that you can see here. But if you render it, it's still sausage. Interesting, right? How about some art strokes like this? Okay, for example, like the watercolor stroke, and pick up the watercolor and drag here. Okay. Oh, by the way, you can also use your tablet to correct this stroke. So you can use the pen pressures with it. Okay, let's render it and see how it works. Maybe we don't see anything because the stroke is black. Let's try another color. Delete limb and select maybe green color. Render it again. Still nothing. Okay. Maybe try another brush. Maybe oils. Here, you can see the brushes. If you hold down B and then right mouse click and check left and right, you can enlarge or shrink the brush size. Then you can create a bigger stroke like this. Maybe it's too big. Let's render it again like this. Alright, let's delete all of them. This time I will pick up the for example, flower. Okay, I think plants brushes are the most important brushes for me. I use a lot with that brushes. Let's create the red flower like this. So pick up this brush and drag on your grid. Okay, might create the stroke, and along the stroke you can see there are a lot of flowers has been created. Let's render it and check how it looks. Okay, but they all look the same right now, or they are too small. So let's change some attribute for it. Go to outliner, or you can just select those flowers that will select the stroke node, and then Control A to open the attribute editor. There are two very important tabs here. One is called stroke shape node, and another one is the, I think this is a PaintEffect node. Okay, the shape node and the PaintEffect node. For example, here, if you want to increase the display quality or decrease the display quality, you can do it here. But it won't affect the render results. It just affects the real-time rendering here, because sometimes the mesh might be too dense to slow down your computer. So you need to lower the display quality a little bit. You can do that by decrease the number here. Okay, so the model looks less detailed on the screen. Okay, but it still looks good under render view. If we render it, okay, it still looks good. So no matter the number is, okay, no matter the number, the display quality number is, the render result is the same. Okay, but if you go to the PaintEffect nodes here and change the global scale, for example, we increase the global scale, you actually scaled up the PaintEffect, so it will render it larger than before. Maybe we should paint another stroke here to compare with another one. Okay, where is the brush container? Here. Okay, we'll create this brush again. Let's drag another brush aside the original one. Okay, that's the default size, and this is the size we just changed. Okay, so they are bigger than this one, right? Okay, pick up one of it and go to the attributor and see other settings. Let's go to the node shape and take a look at some important settings here. For example, you can change the seed to make them look different. Okay. And you can increase or decrease the sample density, like this. Then let's see what else. The minimum clip and the max clip controls the spread of these planes, like this. And maybe you can create animations with these settings to make some growing animation. Okay. This one change another side of this curve. Okay, and I think the most important settings are under the PaintEffect node. So let's go to PaintEffect node. Then we can go to, where is the tubes creation? Okay, and you can see there are a lot of settings under the creation menus. For example, the segments. Okay, the more number segments is, the more details you got from this PaintEffect. Then maybe the width scale. I think let's change the number here. Like here. Okay. That will change different the other side, the end thickness of this area, or reverse it like this. So thinner the bottom of the flower, but it looks weird right now. So let's go back. Okay, and you can click this cross to cancel this point, to delete this point here. If you open the growth, you'll see there are 5 attributes here, and each PaintEffect node has these 5 attributes, but not everyone use all of them. Okay, they'll just use part of it. Of course, you can increase those attributes by click on this to activate them, but maybe you'll get some weird results like this. Okay, so let's just use the default settings for this stroke and see what happens if we change the settings under leaves, flowers, and buds. Okay, you can find them under here. Okay, the settings for branches, and the settings for twigs, settings for leaves, settings for flowers, and settings for buds. So, for example, let's open up the leaf settings here and see what is the leaves for this PaintEffect. Okay, right now we got 3 clusters of the levels in cluster. So if we increase that, okay, you can see the leaves increased. The number of leaves increased. We got more leaves under here, and the number of clusters like here. Okay, if you want to add more leaves on the flowers, you can do that like this. And the leaf drop offs. Actually, you can play with every attribute under the PaintEffect menu, because there are tons of attributes under this menu, and honestly, I don't know all about it. Okay, because PaintEffect is just like a big universe, and you can spend whole day, whole month to research on it. Okay, therefore we are not going to talk every attribute under this menu. Okay, let's try out some attribute and see what happened. Leaf length, of course, change the length of the leaf, or the width, the base width and tip width. Okay. All right, let's go to flowers, and it will change, I believe, the settings here. The petals, flowers. Change the petals for flowers. Number of flowers. Petal dropped out. Okay. Just play with it, see what happened. Okay. So about flower location, select like this. Okay. On all secondary branches only in twig. I don't think we have secondary branches, so that's why we don't see it showing on the screen. Okay. And petal length, the width for the base and tip. Okay. Petal curl. Okay. It controls the curl for edge petals, and you can increase the segments for petals. Drill. Okay, play with it and do some experiments. So how about buds? Do we have buds attribute here? Yes, we have. So go to buds, then change the bud size, bud color. You can change the color of the bud. Okay. Oh, it's already red, so maybe change to another. Let's special color to see what happens here. Maybe it's too small to see. Okay. That's okay. Let's try other attributes. For example, if we want to give some animations for the flowers, like the wind animation, we can do that by go to the PaintEffect node, and under behavior, open it, then go to turbulence, and go to the turbulence type, and pick up one force, for example, the grass wind, okay. And let's open the time slider and the range slider. Go to frame 1, hit play, and for some reason you don't see the animation under the work area, which is weird. I don't know why, but I actually do a batch render for this animation, and let's check it. Okay, we got some animation on it. I compare with the default PaintEffect flowers here. I don't give them the animation, so they don't have the wind force on it. Okay, and those bigger flowers, they got animation on it, and they looks very natural, right? Okay, so that's the turbulence, then the wind force animation. And of course, you can try out some other force here and change the turbulence magnitude here. And what if we want to play the stroke on a bumpy surface like this? Is that possible? Let's try. Go to the browser again. Get brush. Okay. And this time, let's try the grass. Go to grass. Where's grass? Oh, here. And there's like this one. Then use your mouse, drag on the surface, then release your mouse. Okay, we finished the stroke. There's only one stroke here, and we correct a lot of grass. They all share the same settings, okay, from this stroke attribute. But are they on the surface? I don't think so, right? Because the stroke doesn't climb down to the surface, it only stays on the grid. So how do we paint the strokes on the surface, the bumpy surface like this? Okay, let's delete the other PaintEffects first. Okay, then select this plane, the polygon plane. Go to generate and make paintable. This function will make this polygon plane paintable, and then you can place a stroke on it right now. Select the same stroke and draw it again. Okay, select again. I think there's a bug here. Okay, let's try it again. Now we can draw it on the surface. See, it goes along the surface, up and down like this. Okay, so that's how make paintable works, is to make the surface that we're selected paintable. Then we can place every PaintEffect stroke on it as much as you like. Let's create some planes for this thing. Select the ground, then go to generate and make paintable. Go to generate, get brush, And pick up the trees first. Go to trees or trace mesh. How about trace mesh? Okay, select this node here, the maples, and start to drag on surface. Okay, they are all looks too small, right? So select this node, Control A, open the attribute editor, then go to PaintEffect node, then increase the globe scales like this. Sample density, can change the density. Well, I like it to be 0.8. It's up to you. Okay, you don't perfectly follow my number. Okay, you can try your own settings. I use 0.8 here. Then, well, that's it. And if I want to draw the same trees over here, I pick up the same strokes and check them again. Well, actually, I select wrong stroke, but that's okay. I can still show you the following commands. All right. If I want this plane looks like this plane, I can select the plane I want to copy. Then go to generate get settings from select stroke. Click it to get the settings from this stroke, to get every attribute from this stroke. Then select the stroke that we want to apply to, and go to generate apply settings to select strokes and see what happens. Okay, they become the same planes, the same outlooking of the original planes that I just copied. Okay, and of course, select the second one and then open attribute editor. Go to PaintEffect. Go to PaintEffect nodes. Change the global scales down a little bit or increase a little bit to make them slightly different. Let's correct more planes and correct the variety of it. So this time about the oak forest. Sometimes you get the PaintEffect like this, and they are using textures for the trees. So I don't think they are very ideal. I'll delete them and try other tree here. Maybe this one. Okay. Control A. Change the global scale. Or just type the number 15. You can move the stroke to. Actually, we don't move the stroke. That's about surface offset. Oh no. 15. And change the minimum clip to change the place of this tree. How about here? Okay, drag another stroke. Select the same tree. Actually, pick up this surface first and select the oak autumn. And I think we got the bug again. I have to keep picking different brush and then go back to the original one. Then we can see the brush show up on the screen. And if you hold down B, you can increase the size of the brush size. And then you can drag a big tree like this. So let's undo it. Make this brush smaller a little bit and drag it again. Maybe this time we'll get the right size right away. Okay, drag another one here. And, okay, go to trace, and this time maybe the trees bears. So increase the brush size first and then drag it. Still too small. Okay, undo it. Increase the brush size again. I think that's okay. Now let's create some grass. Go to grass and select this one. Then increase the brush size a little bit. Start to paint. Maybe they're too small. Again, increase the brush size. Alright, I think that's okay. Let's start from here. And you can change the attribute for edge stroke. Change different planes and check some other planes here. Okay, right now we got a lot of planes in this scene, right? Okay. So that's how I create an outdoor scene with PaintEffect to add more decorations for this file, and I think it works very well.